Hello, hello, everyone. Thanks for dropping in. This is Healing Body, Mind, and Soul, and I'm your host, Ariel Asher. Today, I have the honor and privilege to have a great conversation with Jay Barnard, and he is the recovery chef and soon to be recovery coach. He is like me, he's in the middle of getting all of his technology all in the same place at the same time. I just wanted to, I met Jay at the speaker talent search. He has a great personality. He's got a ton of just compelling stories. You're going to want to lean in and check out today's conversation. Hey, Jay, thanks for coming on Healing Body, Mind, and Soul. How are you doing today?
Living the dream, I like to say. Thanks for having me, and thanks for asking me to come on and chat with you for a bit.
Oh my gosh, it's so exciting. Even before we came on air today, Jay was telling me about he's speaking in the UK. He's impacting all kinds of people's lives and really leading a lot of people on his personal mission to make the world a better place. And our mission at Body, Mind, Soul TV, of course, is to raise the consciousness of the planet. I think they're kind of the same thing. What do you think, Jay?
Yeah, they're absolutely the same thing, and that's the exciting thing, right? Is that the world the world needs more of that. The world needs more love. The world needs more support. The world needs more. People need to be told they're worth it. People need to be told that, guess what? I believe in you. Guess what? I love you. So if you haven't been told that you've been loved today, I'd be the first one to tell you I love you. It doesn't matter what you're doing, how you're doing it, or what you're going through. You're never alone. And that's been my mission for 4,858 days of being clean and sober.
Oh,
Um,
Jay.
yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot of days compounded, but that's just it, right? It's 24 hours a day. That's how I live my life, 24 hours a day. So I don't. Yesterday's gone, tomorrow's not here. All I have is right now, which is the moment. And when I can stay in the moment, I can keep things manageable. And when I can keep things manageable, I keep things simple. And when I keep things simple, I can share a message of hope. I can share a message of faith. I can share a message of I'm helping myself to help others. And that's truly what the gift of recovery is.
That's awesome. I love you just say, Jay, speak, and everything comes pouring out of him. Hey, Jay, I'm recording here in San Jose, California, and it was really shocking the other day that just about a mile away from my house, a gentleman thought it was a good idea to light his own house on fire, get in his car, and go over to the bus station and shoot eight, or no, I think the body count was nine people and himself. So there was a mass murder, and the news media was crazy. The helicopters were everywhere. We couldn't travel. It was just 15 blocks away from actual my house.
Wow.
And the first thing that I thought was like, oh my God, mental health is so important right now. People are freaking stressed out of their minds. And, and I really thought of you, and I knew that we had this interview coming up, and I know that you are such an advocate for mental health and for stress and recovery with all that you do. Would you just speak? What do you think about an incident like that? I would love to hear about what you think. What makes a person do something like that, Jay?
Well, there's a lot of things that are going on in the world, right? Like there's a lot of added stress, a lot of added, the pandemic has really been hard on people. And I think that the pandemic is actually, I mean, if I want to look at a positive, the pandemic is kind of actually finally, we're going to look at mental health. Finally, mental health
Mm-hmm.
matters, right? So finally,
Yeah.
finally, we're, in 2021 and all of a sudden mental health matters. And, the funny thing is the variants of mental health have been around forever, but it took this to happen for us to really take a look at it. If I think about that incident, you know, I would assume that he was just alone inside his mind and he had nowhere to turn, and was too scared to reach out. And that's like that's the biggest fear-based thing in people is I'm too scared to reach out because I'm going to get judged. And there's no judgment. There's no room for judgment. There's no room for name calling. There's no room for pointing the fingers. We all have issues going on, and every one of us, our issues are important. And I think some people believe that their issues aren't important enough to talk about it, so they keep it inside. And just like I had talked to you before when we first met, the committee upstairs is the one that runs the business. And like, so my committee ran my life for a very long time. We just talked about this actually, and I'll share about the fact that you helped me hear something that I needed to hear for a very, very long time.
Perspective, right?
Right. So but we as people need to be in the right place to hear it, because I'm sure somebody has said to me, Jay, you got to fire the English teacher in room 14 in the hotel in your head. You got to fire the English teacher. You got a compelling story. You're an amazing storyteller. You're an amazing chef. You've branded yourself as Chef Recovery. You're now out there with your girlfriend to 600 plus days, clean and sober. You guys are known as the recovery couple. You guys are donating all the money from the shirts you're selling to mental health, anxiety, depression, suicide. But it took me talking to you to hear that English teacher has rented space in my head since I was 5 years old when I failed grade 3. So it's taken me from there till talking to you to say, hey, I can write a book. Hey, I'm smart enough. I can put the English down on the paper. It doesn't, and I was looking at it like I'm not worth it enough. My English isn't good enough. I'm not good at writing. People don't want to hear what I have to say. A book's an animal. Meantime, I got all these other things going on with the TV series with Ashley and all that other stuff. But, so I hear from you and I'm laying in bed at 12:15 a.m. that night after we talked. And I'm like, and here's the crazy thing about mental illness. This is the crazy thing about mental illness. I'm actually contemplating at 12:50 a.m., what do I have to lose? So this is a guy, 13 plus years clean and sober. I'm contemplating, what do I have to lose if I serve the English teacher in room 14 the pink slip today and tell her to get out? I don't need you anymore. Like, you've rented enough space in my head. You've took up the rent. You've done damage. It's time for you to get out so I can start healing. I was actually contemplating that wasn't a good idea. Why? Because I was so familiar with the fact of that person inside my mind telling me that I wasn't good enough, that it's almost scary to let that go, because it's been such a big piece of me. I'm 41 in a month. So you got to think, at 5 to 41, that's 36 years. This English teacher has been inside my head saying, you're not worth it. You're not a good writer. Multiple attempts at trying to write a cookbook as a chef since I've been clean and sober. But the spot that always stopped me was getting it down onto the paper, writing the English, being proper with my words, that kind of thing, which I wasn't good at because I failed in grade 3. So because of that always carried on. And then you say to me, well, you've got a compelling story. You're a great storyteller. All these things you say to me, right? And you're like, all you got to do is do A, B, C, and D. Give the pink slip, move on, son, get a book going. And at the end of the day, so at 12:30 a.m., I served the pink slip to the English teacher. And I'm going to show you something. I know they're not going to be able to see this, but you are. I wrote down.
Look at that.
60 recipes. Ashley helped me, and Ashley and I wrote down 60 recipes for the cookbook that we're starting on June 9th. Just the names. We haven't got into the recipes yet, but that's a huge step for me. That's a huge, to actually have this beside my computer and go, okay, I'm going to put it onto my computer now, right? So the other thing I went and did since you and I have talked is I built the online shop site for our recovery couple shirts.
Oh my goodness. Jay, you are so in action. It is inspiring.
Well, and that was it, right? Is that, so you have to be ready to hear it, right? You have to be ready to hear it. And that's recovery. So if we go back to what happened, and I'm in Canada and you're over there in the US. So me and you are in like two different areas, right? Which is, but we're coming together. We're stronger together. You're in the US, I'm here. We're still talking about the same thing. We're trying to do the same thing. We're trying to
Awesome.
motivate. We're trying to be positive. We're trying to share the love. We're trying to tell people, you know what, you're worth it. But, you know, my suspicion, just with the amount of people I deal with on a daily basis, because a lot of people reach out to me on a daily basis via TikTok, Instagram, everywhere, is that that person had probably lost something in his life, didn't know how to deal with pain, had no other avenue, and that's what he thought it was. And it was just like suicide for me. It was, you know, I would, I felt better taking my life than staying. I thought I was a burden to society. So because I thought I was a burden to society, I felt at peace with myself taking my own life, because then I wouldn't be a burden to society. My family wouldn't have to worry about me. I would never have to find love. I wouldn't have to have kids. I wouldn't have to deal with life. That's it. I was running from life. I didn't know what life was. And that's what that, you know, in 2005, I tried back-to-back times when I was in my active addiction, and that I just lost the business. And at that point in my life, I thought I was a complete failure.
Wow.
And I overdosed, but I, you know, obviously I'm alive. I woke up in the hospital, and that's, you know, there's one thing to fail at life, but then when you fail, when you go out to actually not be part of life anymore, and then all of a sudden you feel like you failed at that. 3 days later, I ended up trying again, and then I ended up booking myself into the Barrie police station, and jail actually saved me that time. But I've had a lot of attempts when it's come to that. I mean, even in 2010, I was clean and sober for 10 years. 10 years. You know,
You know, it's so interesting to me when I'm listening to your story, Jay. What I hear is that you are like a super successful and super driven entrepreneur. And if you drink, you get in a lot of trouble. You get in a
yeah.
lot of trouble. So, but when you're clean and sober, you are like a maniac producer and creator. It's amazing to see you shine. That is really an interesting way that you've shown up on the planet to keep yourself honest and to do your work. It's cool. I
Well,
really love what you're up to. I really love what you're up to.
but that's the thing, right? Is that even in 2010, when I was fighting mass anxiety and depression from, you know, going through the separation with my daughter's mom and stuff, and really trying to figure out what, not a single father, because we both take care of her 7 days on, 7 days off, but, you know, that whole fear of bringing another person into my daughter's life, because I bounced, you know, I was born Jay Corey, turned into Jay Barnard, right? So I had an identity crisis going on at 7, 8, 9 years old, where I got addicted to food, and then I got addicted to porn, and then I got addicted to drugs and alcohol, right? So I was always just trying to do more to kill pain. That was my drug. You know, I wasn't addicted to alcohol, drugs, or anything. I was addicted to more, and whatever more was, I needed more to just get rid of the pain. You know, so in 2010, I just had so much anxiety and depression going on, and just the worry of all of that, and just, you know, feeling like a failure in the aspect of a relationship, and of having a kid, and I never wanted a broken family, but I didn't realize that I could actually, you know, replace the broken family and have a very happy life. I have a very happy life today with Ashley, and you know, Ashley is a godsend. That just Destiny, my daughter, just loves Ashley, and Ashley treats Destiny like her daughter, and Ashley's kids, and we're all just a big happy family today. But in 2010, I really, you know, I was looking at Destiny, and I couldn't feel love for my own daughter due to the fact of the anxiety and depression. And I made a conscious decision to go and commit suicide at 10 years clean and sober, after coming off of a speaking event in Ottawa at the Shaw Center at the Hope in the City for the Salvation Army, just sharing my story a couple of months before about how amazing my life was, but truly not looking at the inner pain of the anxiety and depression. And I think that I think if we go back to the situation that happened in the US, I think a lot of it has to do with anxiety and depression brought on amplified by the pandemic, because if you don't have anxiety and depression, you really don't, it's hard to understand. It's hard to understand a lot of things, where the brain goes, because people were looking at me going, you're 10 years clean and sober. Why would you want to take your life? You got everything going on for you. It doesn't matter if you got everything going on for you. Your committee tells you you're not worth it, and that's what you start believing the false beliefs. And then the committee, until you can get that committee arrested, until the committee gets arrested, and the way you arrest it is by breaking your silence. That's how stigma gets broken. Stigma gets broken by people sharing, like breaking their silence. The minute you can share, the minute you can release, then your committee gets arrested. But your committee is still there, but it's arrested, which then allows the healing process, which allows the change, which allows moving forward, which allows getting past it, which allows letting go of the English teacher that had been in there for 36 years. By hearing a total stranger tell me that, hey, son, get that thing out of there. We got to get you doing a book.
I'm
Right?
sorry that I kept you. I'm sorry that I kept you up at night. I didn't. I wasn't.
No.
I was not even. I was not even realizing that any of this was happening. It's so wonderful.
But that's the beautiful thing. That is the beautiful thing when somebody is. And I've watched Ashley. Ashley just came up on. She's 600 plus days clean and sober. I met her at 5 months.
Amazing.
I've watched this girl at 7 months. I said, we're going to do the recovery couple. We're going to do the recovery couple. We're going to share about our lives. I want to show you how I got recovery. And if you look at Ashley today and where Ashley was when we first started, I mean, we do a live on Facebook where last night was number 67. We haven't missed a week since like 67 weeks in a row.
That's awesome. What's the name of your group? Where are these Facebook Lives taking place so that our listeners and so that the viewers on our Voice America show can tune into it? Where are they being published?
So
is it just under your name, Jay, or is it a Facebook group?
It's a Facebook group called The Recovery Couple.
The Recovery Couple. Awesome.
Yeah. So we go there every Sunday or Monday night. And then also Ashley and I have a TV series on Shaw, which is on YouTube called Recovery Couple. So, which is exciting, a national TV brand.
We have to get Ashley on here too, Jay.
Yeah.
We have to get Ashley. We need the Recovery Couple. We need the whole 9 yards. I bet we'd love her.
Well, the interesting thing about that is Ashley and I are breaking stigma when it comes to two people being in recovery. So a lot of people would have looked at me, her going at 5 months, me being at 12 years, I'm 13 stepping her, right? But that's what stigma tells us. And Ashley and I are breaking the stigma when it comes to two people being addicts and alcoholics and the world saying that you can't be together. Ashley and I are together.
Okay, so I'm not familiar with the 13th step. So can you explain what that is for me, because I just don't know.
So there's 12-step programs. So there's 12-step programs out there.
I am familiar. Okay.
Yeah. So the 13th step is a thing where, anybody in young recovery, you shouldn't be going near if you've been in the program.
Oh, it's a rule. Okay. And is it an unwritten rule though?
Yeah, it's an unwritten rule. They say that, right, because people in early recovery don't know who they are. So it's very vulnerable to do that. But
they form unhealthy attachments.
Right.
I understand. Yes.
So with the time and ages and stuff, recovery needs to be accepted in all forms. There isn't just one way to recover anymore. And Ashley and I are breaking the stigma, along with a lot of other people, that there's so many ways to recover. You don't have to do it just this way. You do recovery what fits your shoe, however it makes you happy. That's how you got to do it. And Ashley will tell you the same thing. Ashley came into recovery. She went for 90 days and then she drank. This is her second attempt. So Ashley has a great story about the process of relapsing and the series of events that came up to a relapse. But now she's been in it for 600 plus days. She saw a different way of recovery through me that has lit a fire like no other, and brought us together in a way that we're going to help the world and show people that it's okay to be together, that you're in love, that you support each other, that you can do things together. And when you're breaking your silence together, that gives you two voices versus one voice, and you can go hit more people and help more people and bring love to more people.
I love your story, Jay. I love your story of recovery. I love that you're a trailblazer. I love that you're a leader, and I think how you keep yourself honest is you're out there and you're loud and proud about what you're up to. It's really wonderful what you're doing. I would love for you to give our listeners what is the best way for them to reach out to you if they would like to get a piece of Jay Barnard, who's up to almost everything: chef recovery, chef coach, soon to be author. Soon to be author, we're thinking. Jay,
Yeah,
what's the
yeah.
best place for them to reach out to you?
I guess there's a couple places. I mean, if you went to TikTok at Chef Recovery, I got a lot of people over there. The recovery community is really on fire. So if you are struggling and you're on that platform, it's a great platform to catch me. I love it over there. There's a lot of I just love the recovery community.
TikTok, go
Yep.
look for Jay.
Yeah, and then if you're on Facebook, obviously the Recovery Couple, we have a page. Obviously, I have my own page, Jay Barnard. If you want to get a hold of me via email, it's chefrecovery@gmail.com. And if you're on Instagram, it's at Chef Recovery. So it's not hard to find me. Just Google and I'm there.
Awesome. I love that you're highly visible and highly available for anybody who is on the same sort of mission or who needs support in their own healing journey of transformation.
Absolutely.
Jay, what super tip would you give to somebody who's struggling with their own recovery, or even just with stress or depression, or thoughts of suicide at this time? What would you say to somebody who's struggling right now? What super tip can you give them?
I think that's a three-part one. I think the first one is yesterday is gone, tomorrow's not here, so live in the moment. So you
Mm-hmm.
gotta you gotta stay in the moment if you're in recovery or you're fighting with anxiety or depression, because a lot of times we're living in the past. You can't even think about the future. We like to, but we're not even there. But a lot of us just live in the past, and that past really ruins us. So if you can really get yourself to living in today, because that's all we got. We only got today. So that'd be number one. Number two, break your silence. You need to recover out loud. That's my motto: recover out loud.
Ooh.
You got to be loud and you got to be proud. You have a story that is going to change lives. The first person's life it's going to change is yours. So when you break your silence, you first change your life, and by you changing your life, you're going to touch somebody that relates to your story. And by that happening, now you've broken stigma and telling that person that they're not alone. So recovering out loud would be number two, and number three would be keep it simple. So you got to keep it simple in a way that you can't make things difficult. The world is already difficult, so there's no point in pouring more difficulty onto yourself, or even trying. We lived the difficult life while using. We lived the difficult life out there. So why make our life so difficult inside recovery if we just got to keep it simple. And that was a daily reading today. Keep it simple. And it's true. When my life is simple, I'm on fire. I'm my worst critic. I'm my worst enemy. That's another one too. You got to take ownership. You have to take ownership for yourself and accept things for what they are, not for what they were. So you don't have to accept things for what they were, because you can forgive yourself for that, and now you can accept things for what they are. So instead of the were, get into the are. And once you're in the are, you're in the moment. And once you're in the moment, you can start loving yourself, and you can start healing, and you can start changing and moving forward in a positive direction, and have a powerful message that will help thousands and millions of people across the world.
Mm, let's hope so. I love it, Jay. I love your fire. I love your passion. I love what you're saying and sharing with everybody. And I want to thank you for your courage to speak out and to recover out loud. I love that. I love your courage to recover out loud, because it's by sharing our stories that we inspire others to do the same.
Well, and we inspire ourselves, right? So while you're inspiring yourself, because that's the real gift of recovery, right? Is that you don't
Mm.
have to be silent anymore. I was very silent in my active addiction in a way that I wouldn't talk about anything, right? So once I get into recovery, I'm able to share about the pain and the agony and all that stuff that I think, I did a whole bunch of bad things that didn't make me a bad person. So now it gives me the ability to change and become a better person day by day. And if I do that recovering out loud, I'm healing myself. And chances are somebody's going to hear my story And I've got many messages that I don't even know of the people. Hey, Jay, I got 3 months clean. I've been following you. Hey, I got 1 year clean. I've been following this one girl at a food show came up. She was so nervous. Jay, I want to show you this. And I was like, who are you? And I didn't even know her. And she'd celebrated 1 year clean and sober by just following me on Facebook. And that's the power of social media. You don't know who you're helping. You really don't. And I'll never know the amount of people that I've been able to help, but I do know that I've helped myself. And by helping myself, that means I help others. And
Awesome. I
that's
love your pay it forward attitude, and I love your story. It's like liberating yourself to give yourself the permission to shine and really live your mission. Jay, I want to thank you so much for taking the time to be with us today. You're so generous with your heart and with your time and with your message. You are doing a great job as a leader. Thank you so much for being on today. So everybody, I hope that you have enjoyed today's show. Remember to reach out to Ariel at Body, Mind, Soul TV and Media Network. Until next time, everyone, happy healing.